Some houses feel heavy the moment you walk inside them. Not because of what's visible, but because of what's present. There are moments when the air suddenly changes. A strange peace enters the room for no reason. You wake up at 3 a.m., feeling watched, protected, or warned. You hear things no one else notices. You survive situations that should have broken you, and deep down, a question begins to whisper in your soul. What if I'm not alone? Most people dismiss these moments as coincidence, stress, imagination. But Maya Angelou once understood something powerful about human intuition. Our spirit recognizes what the eyes cannot explain. Not every presence in a home is dark. Some arrive quietly, not to scare you, but to guide you, protect you, awaken you. And the frightening part is this. Many people live their entire lives ignoring the signs because they look too ordinary to matter. But tonight you may see your home differently. Because if angels have been trying to reach you, the signs are already around you, hidden in your dreams, your emotions, the unexplained moments you keep brushing aside. And the seventh sign? Most people experience it right before a major life transformation begins. There's a kind of silence that only appears after suffering. Not ordinary silence, but the kind that feels almost alive. Have you ever cried so deeply that afterward your entire house became still? No noise, no chaos, just an unexplainable calm wrapping around you like something invisible entered the room the moment your pain broke open. Most people think peace comes after healing. But sometimes peace arrives first as a sign that you're not facing the darkness alone. The strange part is this. Many people report feeling this presence after emotional collapse, after betrayal, after panic attacks, after nights where they almost gave up on life completely. Suddenly the atmosphere changes. The tension disappears. Even the air feels lighter. Psychologists call it emotional release. But what if there's something deeper happening? Maya Angelou believed that human beings carry an inner knowing the world trains them to ignore. And maybe that's why these moments feel so powerful, because your soul recognizes comfort before your mind can explain it. Some people notice soft footsteps in empty rooms. Others feel warmth near them while sitting completely alone. And some wake up from despair with a feeling they cannot describe, only that they survived something they shouldn't have survived. But here's the unsettling truth. Not every peaceful feeling is random. Sometimes the calm arrives because something unseen has entered your space, watching quietly, waiting for you to notice. And the moment you do notice it, the signs only become stronger. Some dreams don't feel like dreams. They feel like messages your mind was never supposed to forget. You wake up disturbed, not because of what you saw, but because of how real it felt. A voice calling your name, a warning. A strange figure standing silently in the corner of your dream, watching you without fear, without aggression, almost like it came with a purpose. And then it happens again. Different night, same feeling, the same symbols, the same emotions, the same unshakable sense that something is trying to reach you while the rest of the world sleeps. Most people ignore repeated dreams because reality has trained them to worship logic. But the human mind is deeper than logic. Maya Angelou once spoke about intuition as a sacred inner compass, something ancient inside us that recognizes truth before evidence appears. Psychologists say recurring dreams come from unresolved emotions, trauma, anxiety, buried fears. But what if some dreams arrive not from your subconscious, but from beyond your conscious awareness? There are moments in life when people dream of danger before it happens. They see faces they've never met, only to encounter them later. They receive emotional warnings that save them from destructive choices. And strangely, these dreams often appear during periods of spiritual exhaustion, when a person feels lost, disconnected, or emotionally close to breaking. Because maybe that's when the soul becomes easier to reach. But here's what should truly unsettle you. The most powerful messages rarely come through clear words. They come through repetition. And if the same dream keeps returning to your house night after night, you may need to ask yourself one terrifying question. What happens if you continue ignoring it? Every house has a room that feels different, a place people avoid without fully understanding why. Maybe it's the hallway that suddenly turns cold at night, the bedroom where your thoughts become heavier, the corner of the house where silence feels too loud, almost like the space is holding emotions that were never meant to stay there. What's disturbing is that most people sense these changes immediately, but force themselves to ignore them, because admitting that a room feels emotionally alive sounds irrational. But human beings are emotional antennas. Long before science explained energy, the soul already understood atmosphere. Maya Angelou often spoke about the emotional weight people carry into spaces. Fear leaves traces, grief lingers, pain echoes. And sometimes, after enough suffering, a room begins to feel emotionally saturated, as if invisible memories have settled into the walls themselves. Have you ever walked into a room after an argument and instantly felt tension without hearing a single word? Or entered a place where sadness felt so strong it almost became physical? Now imagine that feeling growing stronger over time. Some people report sudden anxiety in specific areas of the house. Others experience overwhelming emotions with no logical trigger. And strangely, these spaces often become quiet at the exact moments a person needs emotional clarity most, almost as if something unseen is trying to force them to stop running from themselves. Because sometimes the heaviest room in the house is not carrying a presence from outside. It's reflecting the battle happening inside you. And that's where things become unsettling. Because the moment a person finally confronts what that room makes them feel, the atmosphere often changes instantly, as if something had been waiting for that exact moment all along. Some people should not have survived what happened to them, and yet somehow they did. The car should have crashed. The illness should have won. The timing should have destroyed them completely. But at the last second, something changed. A delay, a feeling, a sudden decision that made no logical sense in the moment, but later became the reason they were still alive. What terrifies many people is not the danger itself. It's the strange feeling that someone or something intervened. There are stories of people hearing a voice whisper, "Don't go." Others describe an overwhelming urge to leave a place moments before disaster struck. And some wake up in the middle of the night with intense fear for no visible reason, only to discover later that the feeling protected them from something they never saw coming. Psychology calls this heightened intuition, survival instinct, pattern recognition. But intuition becomes difficult to explain when it arrives with impossible timing. Maya Angelou believed human beings possess a deep inner awareness that society teaches them to silence. Maybe that's why certain moments feel sacred after they happen. Because deep down, part of you knows your survival was bigger than luck. And strangely, these experiences often happen inside the home, the place where people feel safest, but also spiritually most exposed. Because when life is trying to redirect someone before a major collapse, the warnings rarely arrive loudly. They arrive quietly, personally, almost invisibly. And here's the chilling part. Many people only recognize the protection after the danger has already passed, which means there may have been moments in your own house where something unseen protected you without ever asking to be acknowledged. The most dangerous moments in life are not always loud. Sometimes they arrive in complete silence. No warning, no chaos, just a strange emotional stillness that settles over your house like the world itself has paused for something unseen. And for reasons people cannot explain, this silence often appears right before their lives change forever. Before a breakup, before a truth is revealed, before a spiritual awakening tears apart the version of themselves they spent years pretending to be. Most people fear noise because it feels overwhelming. But silence is far more terrifying, because silence forces you to hear what distraction has been protecting you from. Maya Angelou understood this deeply. She believed that when human beings stop running from themselves, hidden truths begin rising to the surface. And that's why some homes suddenly feel unnaturally quiet during periods of emotional transformation. It's not emptiness people are feeling, it's confrontation. Have you ever sat alone in your house and suddenly felt emotionally exposed for no visible reason? No television, no phone, no voices, just your thoughts becoming louder than they've ever been before. That's the moment many people try to escape. They turn on noise, open social media, call someone, anything to interrupt the silence before it reveals something painful. But some people stay in it. And when they do, strange things begin happening. Old memories return. Patterns become obvious. Toxic relationships suddenly feel impossible to ignore. And deep inside, a terrifying realization starts forming. The life you've been living may no longer align with who you're becoming. That is why the silence feels so heavy. Because sometimes the quiet entering your house is not there to comfort you. It's there to prepare you for the version of yourself that can no longer stay asleep. Sensitive people notice things others laugh at, not because they're weak, but because they feel what most people have trained themselves to ignore. They walk into a house and instantly sense tension before anyone speaks. They feel emotionally drained after certain visitors leave. They wake up in the middle of the night with overwhelming emotions that don't seem connected to anything happening in the physical world. And over time, many of them begin questioning their own sanity, because when you notice patterns nobody else sees, isolation begins quietly. You stop talking about the strange feelings, the unexplainable intuitions, the moments your body reacts before your mind understands why. But Maya Angelou believed sensitivity was not a flaw. It was awareness, a deeper connection to emotional truth that society often punishes people for having. The unsettling reality is this: spiritually sensitive people often experience the strongest signs inside their homes. Not dramatic visions, not horror movie moments. Small things, a sudden emotional shift, a feeling of protection during despair, the instinct to avoid a certain room, the unshakable sense that they are being guided away from something destructive. And while others dismiss these experiences as imagination, sensitive people carry a burden few understand. They feel the emotional energy of everything around them. That's why crowded places exhaust them. That's why silence affects them differently. And that's why certain houses feel emotionally alive the moment they enter them. But here's what makes this truly disturbing. The more spiritually sensitive a person becomes, the harder it becomes to ignore what they're sensing. Because eventually the signs stop feeling accidental. And once someone realizes their intuition has been warning them all along, they begin seeing things in their home they can never unsee again. The final sign does not arrive with fear. It arrives with change. Suddenly, the people around you begin disappearing from your life. Old habits stop feeling satisfying. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. And your house, the same house you've lived in for years, starts feeling emotionally different, as if the atmosphere itself knows you are becoming someone new. This is the stage most people misunderstand. They think their life is falling apart, but sometimes life is clearing space for transformation. Maya Angelou once said that nothing can dim the light that shines from within. But before that light fully awakens, people often go through a painful emotional separation from everything that kept them spiritually asleep. And strangely, like many people report experiencing intense signs inside their homes during this period. Moments of unexplained peace. Powerful dreams, sudden emotional clarity, the feeling that something unseen is pushing them away from toxic environments, destructive relationships, or false versions of themselves. At first, it feels uncomfortable, lonely even, because growth rarely begins with confidence. It begins with confusion. You start questioning people you once trusted. You notice patterns you ignored for years, and deep inside, you feel an almost terrifying certainty that your old life can no longer continue the way it used to. That is why this final sign is so powerful. The signs were never only about protection, they were preparation. Preparation for a version of yourself that sees differently, feels differently, lives differently. And once that transformation begins, something unsettling happens. The signs inside your house become impossible to ignore. Because the moment a person spiritually awakens, their entire reality starts revealing what was hidden from them all along. Maybe the greatest mistake people make is believing that everything real must be visible. Because some of the most powerful forces in human life are never seen directly. Intuition, energy, presence, warning, protection. And perhaps that is why certain moments inside your house feel impossible to explain. The silence that arrives after emotional pain. The dreams that refuse to leave you alone. The strange feeling that something protected you when life should have broken you completely. Most people will dismiss these signs because accepting them would force them to confront something deeper about themselves, that human beings may be far more spiritually connected than they were taught to believe. Maya Angelou understood that there is wisdom hidden beneath human awareness, a quiet intelligence inside the soul that notices things long before the mind catches up. And maybe these signs are not meant to frighten you. Maybe they are meant to awaken you. Because the real question is not whether angels are in your house. The real question is this: why do these signs appear most strongly when your life is about to change? Maybe the unexplained piece, the emotional shifts, the warnings, the silence were never random at all. Maybe something has been guiding you through darkness this entire time. And tonight, when the noise disappears and your house becomes quiet again, you may start noticing things you once ignored. Not with your eyes, but with the part of you that already knows.